Osaka is a city I found uniquely familiar. Whereas Tokyo is an amalgamation of dozens of different clashing districts, and Kyoto wears its arts, kimonos, and temples on its sleeve, Osaka really feels like a working city. It, more than any other city, reminded me of Sydney, Australia. It has glass skyscrapers overlooking water. At 5 PM on the dot, you'll be inundated with a sea of white collars and polished black shoes. Of course, there's culture and tourism and art, but here, more than anywhere, it felt like I was seeing real Japan. And real Japan is real anywhere. It's employees sweating through their summer suits, buskers at train stations, and luxury brands ostentatiously lining main streets. Stepping off from Kyoto, I made the 2-kilometer walk to my hostel and dropped off my bag. Genuinely, I had no plans at this point, but I got chatting with someone in the lobby and we tossed a coin between visiting the aquarium or Universal Japan. We went with the theme park. This would have been probably the most outright expensive event of my trip, but I felt like I'd been frugal so far, and only having one full day in Osaka, I felt justified dropping $70 or so for the entry. It's a theme park, so I don't know how much more to add. Everything's expensive and vivid and lurid. You can visit virtual reality rides where mecha monsters destroy cities over your carriage. You can reenact Jaws on river crawlers, and you can even swing by Hogwarts and be left a little perplexed at how wizards and witches speaking different languages seem to communicate so well. It's magic, it's a theme park, you just go with the flow. Otherwise, I also checked out the main reason for my stop in Osaka, Himeji Castle. One of my biggest motivations for traveling Japan was how much I adored the history of feudal Japan, particularly the Tokugawa shogunate, and of course, Osaka was the epicenter of all that. More prized than any capital city in Japan, Osaka was the home of the shogun, the military warlord and the true ruler of Japan for centuries. The castle's been restored and touched up over the years, and the interior has been converted into a museum. Throughout the grounds, there's plenty of signs indicating the dramatic scenes of the castle's history, whether it's ancient emblems carved into the fortifications, or the precise spot in the garden where a mother and son of the royal family committed suicide to escape Tokugawa's henchmen. The museum subverts expectations in that it forces you to initially wander up about 9 floors to the top lookout, and then each floor spiraling down gives you a blow-by-blow narrative of the personalities, armies, and major battles of the Hideyoshi and Tokugawa dynasties. Wrapping up the day, I visited the main shopping district as I needed a post office. I never travel for shopping, and walking here was just like walking through any globalized city with Tesla, Gucci, Ferrari. There is a random little America town which is effectively the same as the rest of the suburb, but the shops here are blasting hip-hop and there's a Statue of Liberty tucked away somewhere. By this point, I was pretty done with the day, so I headed back to my accommodation, the Hostel. By this point, I was comfortable and knew what to expect with Japanese hostels. Small beds, clean bathrooms, and pretty light meals, though there's a cute games room and a small library. Here, like most of the stops on my trip, I got to enjoy a temporal, evocative friendship with an American guy called Alex. We'd both read James Clavell's novel Shogun and had similar interests in story design, and I learned that at some American universities you can kind of throw together your own degree and label it as you see fit. So he completed a Bachelor of Arts in Visual Narrative, which I think is just one of the coolest possible sounding degrees. And so in connection to that, I've actually linked a comic that Alex created below. It's super well done, and I remember reading it on the train the next day to Onomichi, a little hungover, very tired, and being surprisingly affected by it. Anyway, that evening we also made good friends with 2 Japanese travelers, and stayed up late playing Nintendo and just talking rubbish. It was a wholesome evening, and just a great change of pace from the busy day that had come before it. And that's Osaka. It was a great little pit stop, but Onomichi was calling next. And again, that's another brief stay where I was able to enjoy making friends, drinking, but before that, sweating buckets as I cycled along the Shimanami Kaido, a very scenic cycling path with bridges, rivers, beaches. It was a lot of fun, so definitely check that out.